Then Nahash the Ammonite
Now there was a
came
certain
up
man
and encamped
of
against
Ramathaim,
Gilead, and
Zophim
all the
of
men
Mount
of Jabesh
Ephraim,
said unto
and his
Nahash,
name was
Make a covenant
Elkanah,
with us, and we
the
will
son
serve
of
thee. And Nahash the Ammonite answered them,
the
By this
son
condition
of
will I make a
Elias,
covenant with you,
the
that I
son
may
of
thrust
Tohu,
out all
the
your
son
right
of
eyes,
Zuph,
and lay it forever
and
reproach upon all Israel.
Ephrathite.
And the
And
elders
he
of
had two
Jabesh said
wives.
unto him,
The
Give
name
us
of the
7
one was
days'
Hannah,
respite, that
and
we
the
may
name
send
of the other
messengers unto all the coasts of
Peninnah.
Israel.
There is no
And
common
then, if
bread
there be
under
none
mine
there
And
to
Peninnah
say,
had children, but Hannah had no
Then
children.
came the
And this
messengers
man
to
went up
Gibeah
out
Saul,
And David
and
of
answered,
his
told
city
the
yearly
tidings
to
in the
worship and to
ears of the
sacrifice
people.
unto the
And
Lord
the people lifted up
these
their
3
voices and
hosts
wept.
in
And
Shiloh.
behold, Saul
And the two
came out
sons
and
of
heard out in the
Eli,
field.
Hophni
Saul said,
and
What aileth the people that they weep?
Phinehas,
And they told
the
him
priests
the
of the Lord,
tidings
were
of
there.
the men of
And when the
Jabesh.
time was
And the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard those tidings,
Elkanah
and his
offered,
anger was
he
kindled
gave to
greatly.
Peninnah his
And he
wife,
took a yoke of oxen,
and to all her sons and her daughters portions.
But
But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb.
And after Samuel, so
And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb.
And when he
And
numbered
as
them,
he
he said,
did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons? So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Lord, and she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but wilt give unto thine handmaid a man-child, then will I give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. And Eli said unto her, How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial. For out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and God of Israel, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. And she said, Let thy handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. And they rose up in the morning early, and worshipped before the Lord, and returned and came to the house to reign. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about, after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. And the man, Elkanah, and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice in his house. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever. And Elkanah her husband said unto her, Do what seemeth thee good, tarry until thou hast weaned him. Only the Lord established his word. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slew a bullock, and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. And Hannah prayed, and said, My heart rejoiceth in the Lord, mine horn is exalted in the Lord, my mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our Lord. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly, let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumble are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased. So that the barren hath borne seven, and she that hath many.
Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go
Children is waxed feeble. The Lord chilleth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill. To set him among princes, and to make him inherit the throne of glory for the pillars of the earth, or the Lord. And he hath set the world upon him. He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall be thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. And Elkanah went to Ramah to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Eli. They knew not the Lord. And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came while the flesh was in seething, with a fleshhook of 3 teeth in his hand, and he struck it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot. All that the fleshhook brought up, the priest took for himself. So they did in Shiloh unto all the Israelites that came thither. Also, before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, Give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of me, but raw. And if any man said unto him, Let them not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desire, then he would answer him, Nay, but thou shalt give it me now. And if not, I will take it by force. Wherefore the sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for men abhorred the offering of the Lord. But Samuel ministered before the Lord, being the child girded with the linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little coat and brought it to him from year to year. When she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice, and Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, The Lord give thee seed of this woman for the loan which is lent to the Lord. And they went unto their own homes. And the Lord visited Hannah so that she conceived, and bare
Go, I pray you, prepare yet and know
3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before the Lord. Now Eli was very old, and heard all that his sons did unto Israel, and how they lay with the women
will go with
that
you,
assembled at the door of the tabernacle
if he be in
of
the land,
the
I will search
congregation.
him out throughout all the
And he
thousands of
said unto
Judah.
them,
And they arose
Why
and
do ye
went to
such
Ziph
things?
before
For I
Saul,
hear
but
you,
David and his men
for
were
I
in the
hear
wilderness of
of
Maon
your
in
evil
the plain of South
dealings
Jeshimon.
by all
And
this
Saul
people.
also and his men went
Nay,
to
my
Ziph.
sons, for
And
it
they
is
told
not,
David,
it is no
Wherefore
good
came down into
report
the
that
rock
I
and
hear.
abode in the
Ye
wilderness of
make the
Maon.
Lord's
And
people
when
to
Saul heard that,
transgress.
he pursued after
If
David
one
in the
man sin
wilderness of
against
Maon.
another, the
But
judge
Saul
shall
went
judge
on
him.
the side of the
But if a
mountain
man
to
sin
David
against
and
the
his men,
Lord,
and
who
I
shall
have
entreat for
not.
him?
And David made haste to get
Notwithstanding,
away
they
for
hearkened
fear of
not unto
Saul,
the
for
voice
Saul
of
and
their
his
father,
men
because
compassed
the Lord
David and
was
his men
slain.
round about to take them.
And Samuel
But there
said
came a
to
messenger
And the
unto
Saul,
child
Saul, saying,
Samuel
Thou
grew
hast
Come,
done
on,
for the
and
Philistines
was
have
in
invaded the
favor
Thou
land.
hast
both
not
with
kept
the
Wherefore
Lord
Saul
and
returned
also
from
with men.
pursuing after
And there
David
came a
which he
man of
against the
God
commanded
unto
thee.
Philistines.
Eli,
For
For they
now
called
and
the
that
said
Lord
unto
place
hath
him, Thus
established
saith the
thy
Lord,
kingdom upon
did I
Israel
plainly appear
forever.
unto the
David
house of
went
thy
up from
Now thy
father
thence and
kingdom
dwelt in
when
shall
they
not
were in
strongholds
continue.
Egypt
in
in
Gibeon.
The
Pharaoh's
Lord
And
house?
it
hath
came to
sought
pass
a
when
And
man
Saul was
after his
did
returned
I
from
own
following
choose
the
heart,
him out
and
Philistines,
the
of
and
all
Lord
the
told him,
tribes of
commanded
saying,
him
Israel
to
to
be
be
Behold,
my
faithful
David
to
is
priest,
in the
his
wilderness
to
people,
of En
offer
Gedi.
upon
because
And
mine
Saul
thou
took
altar
hast
to
not
burn
3,000
kept
incense,
chosen
that
men
which
out of
the
to
all
Lord
wear an
Israel, and went to
ephod
commanded
seek
before
thee.
them.
David and his
And
men
And did I
Samuel
on
give
the road to
arose
the
unto
and
the
wild
gathered
goat.
house of
And he
thy
about
came to the
father
the
all
sheep
the
town
cotes by
unto
the
offerings
way,
made
Gibeah
by
of
where was the
Benjamin.
fire of the
cave. And
children of
Saul
And
went
Israel.
in
Saul
to cover
numbered
the
the
Wherefore
people.
people
keep
that were
ye
But
at my
David
present
and
with
his
him
men
sacrifice
remained in
about
the
and at
sides of the
mine
600
offerings,
cave.
men.
And the men
And
of
which I
Saul
David
have
said
said
unto
unto
commanded
him,
in mine
him,
Behold, the day
habitation,
of
And
which
and
the
the Lord
people
honorest
said
who
unto
thy
thee,
journeyed with
sons
him
above me.
Behold, I will
abode
deliver
in
Take
thine enemy
Gibeah of
into thy
to
Benjamin.
make
hand,
But the
that thou mayest do
yourselves
Philistines
to
fat
him
encamped
with the
as it
at
shall
Dan.
seem
chiefest
good
of
unto
And the
all
thee.
the
spoilers came
offerings
And
of
out
David
before
arose
the
Israel
and
my
cut off
people.
the
Philistines
skirt of
3
Saul's
Wherefore
robe
days.
the
privily.
Lord
One
God of
And it
coming
came to
Israel
into
said,
pass
unto the
afterward
way
that
that
David's
leadeth to
heart
I
smote
said
him,
Ophrah unto
indeed
the
that
because he had
land
cut
of
off
thy
Judah.
Saul's
house
skirt.
And another
And he said
company
and
unto
the
his
turned
men,
house of
the
thy
way
What
to
father
was it
should
that I
walk
should
Bethhoron.
do
before
this
And
me
thing
another
unto
forever.
my
company
master?
turned to
But
the
The
now
way
Lord
the Lord
northward,
anointed
saith,
to
looking
stretch
to the
forth the
Be it
valley
hand
far
against
of
from
the
me,
him.
for
Boaz.
them
Seeing
that
he is the
honor
anointed of the Lord.
Now there was
So
no
me I
David
will
stayed his
honor,
found
servants
and
with
throughout
they
these
that
all the
words,
land
and
of
despise
suffered
me
Israel.
them not
For
to
shall
the
rise
be
against
Philistines
Saul.
lightly
said,
But Saul
esteemed.
Lest
rose
the
up out of the
Hebrews
cave and
Behold,
went
increase
the
his
so
days
way.
with their
come
David
spears.
that
also
I
And
will
the
arose
cut
after him and
off
went
Israelites
out
thine
of
went
the
down to
arm,
the
cave, and cried
Philistines
after
to
Saul,
sharpen
the
saying,
every man
My
arm,
his
lord the
share,
king.
and
And when
his
Saul
and
gold,
the
looked
and
behind
arm
him,
his
of thy
David
ox,
stood
father's
with his
fattened.
face
house,
to the earth
Yet
and
they
bowed
had
that
himself.
there
defiled
shall
for the
And
not
David
be
said
an
to
masses,
old
Saul,
and
man
for the
in thine
Wherefore
porters,
house.
hearest
and for
thou
And
the
then
thou
the
shalt
ward,
word,
and
see
for
an
saying,
the
enemy
Behold,
in
page,
my
David
and the
seeketh thy
habitation.
shepherd of the
hurt?
goats.
Behold,
In
So
this
all
day
the
David
thine
wealth
eyes have
asked
which God
seen
David
how
shall
the
about
give
Lord hath
Israel,
there was
delivered
and
thee
there
neither
unto
shall
Saul
not
bread
and to
be
nor
an
my
old
spear
hand
man in
found
in the
in the
thine
cave.
house
hand of any
forever.
of
And
the
some
people
bade
that
And
me
were
the
with
kill
man of
thee.
Saul at
thine,
But mine
Jonathan.
eye spared thee,
But
and
when
I said,
whom
Saul and
I
I
his
will not
shall
put
brothers and his
forth
not
my
cut
sons
hand
had
off
against my
found
from
him,
Lord,
mine
and
for
the
he is the
altars,
garrison
Lord's
of
shall
the
be
anointed.
to
Philistines
consume
Moreover, my
thine
down
father
to the
eyes,
see, yea,
passage
see
of
and
the
to
skirt of
grieve
Manasseh.
thy
thine
robe
Now
in
it
heart,
my
came to
hand.
when all
pass
the
Whereupon
one
I
increase
cut
of
day
off
that
thine
the skirt
house
of
shall
thy
Jonathan,
robe,
die
son
and
of
in
killed
Saul,
thee
spoil
not.
said
and
unto the
Know
waste.
young
thou
men,
and see
And
that
this
Ahimaaz,
there
shall
is
be a
neither
sign
camel
Come,
unto
nor
let
thee,
us go
transgression
over to the
in
that
my
Philistines'
shall
hand. I
come
garrison.
have not
upon
sinned
thy
So
two
the
against
other
thee,
sons,
side.
yet thou
But he
on
huntest my
told
soul
not
to
Ophni
his
take it.
father.
Lord,
And
and
judge
Saul
between me and
tarried in
thee,
the
and the Lord
uttermost
avenge
part
me
of
of thee,
Gibeah under
but
a
Pinehas.
mine hand shall
pomegranate
not
tree,
In
be
one
which
upon
is
day
in
thee.
they
As
Migron.
shall
saith
And
the
the
die,
proverb
people
both
that
of
of the
were
them,
with him
ancients,
were about
and I
Wickedness
will
600.
raise
proceedeth
thee
from the
up
wicked, but mine
And
hand
Ahiah
shall
the
not
son
be
of
upon thee.
a
Ahitub
faithful priest that
examined
priest that shall do according to that which is in mine heart and in mine mind.
wearing an ephod.
And I will build him a sure house, and he shall walk before mine anointed forever. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left in thine house shall come and crouch to him for a piece of silver and a morsel of bread, and shall say, Put me, I pray thee, into one of the priest's offices, that I may keep a piece of bread. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord was special in those days. There was no open vision. And it came to pass at that time when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to rest in him, that he could not see.
That the kingdom of
And
Israel
heard,
shall
and
be
that
established in thy
God
land.
went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep.
Destroy my name out of my
That the Lord called Samuel and answered, Here am I. And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I called not, lie down again. And he went and lay down. And the Lord called yet again Samuel. And Samuel rose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I called not, my son, lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be. If he call thee that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood and called, as at other times, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons make themselves vile, and restrain in the house. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever. And Samuel lay until the morning and opened the doors of the house of the Lord, and Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. And Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord hath said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee. And Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from them. And he said, It is the Lord, let him do what seemeth him good. And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched beside Ebenezer. And the Philistines pitched in Ephes. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. And when the people were coming to the camp, the elders of Israel said, Wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies. So the people sent to Shiloh that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What meaneth the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of the Lord was coming to the camp. And the Philistines were afraid, so they said, God is coming to the camp. And they said, Woe unto us, for there hath not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us, who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. Be strong and quit yourselves like men, O ye Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten. And they fled every man into his tent. And there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 foot. And the ark of the God was taken. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. And there ran a man of Benjamin out of the army and came to Shiloh to the
would be in
the
same
day with his clothes rent, and with earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside watching, and his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the cry, he said, What meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, What is there done, my son? And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there hath been also a great slaughter among the people. And thy two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off the chief's backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died. For he was an old man when he had it, and he had judged Israel 40 years. And his daughter-in-law Phinehas' wife was with child near to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself in travail. For her pain came upon her. And about the time of her death, the women that stood by her said unto her, Fear not, for thou hast borne a son. But she answered not, neither did she regard it. And she named the child audiobible, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, The glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer
the understood that Saul was
and
to
Ashdod,
and when Saul David arose and came to the place where Saul had banished man,
the ark of God, they brought it into the house of David,
the captain of his host,
and set it by David. And when they Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, David was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took David and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning,
came to the people by night.
Behold, David was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of David and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod until this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emeralds, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about to Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about Gibeon. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emeralds in their secret parts. Therefore they sent the ark of God to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people. For that was a daily destruction throughout all the city, and the hand of God was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with the hemorrhoids, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to this place. And they said, If ye send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering, then ye shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emeralds and 5 golden mites, according to the number of the Lord of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all, and on the Lord. Wherefore ye shall make images of your emeralds and images of your mites that mar the land, and ye shall give glory unto God of Israel. Peradventure he will lighten his hand from you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Wherefore then do ye harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts, when he had wrought wonderfully among them? Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore make a new part, and take 2 milk kine, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold which ye returned him for trespass offering, and toss it by the side thereof, and send it away that it may go. And see, if it goeth up by the way of his own coast, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord. He hath done us this great evil, but if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milk kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of the emeralds. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Bethshemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the Lord of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Bethshemesh. And they of Bethshemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Bethshemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone, and they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kine a burnt offering to the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. And then the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emeralds which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering to the Lord. For Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Ashkelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron. And the golden mice according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both and country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which known and named him to this day in the field of Joshua the Bethshemesh. And he smote the men of Bethlehem, because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 50,000 and 3
I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord, and he sanctify yourselves, and come with me to sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse his soul, saying,
who is able to stand before this holy Lord God?
And it came to
And
pass
to
when they
whom
said
shall
unto her,
he
that he looked
go
round,
up
he
from
lied,
it?
and
And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath Jearim, saying, the Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come ye down and fetch it up. And the men of Kirjath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord and brought it into the house of Abinadab
I am sore distressed
on the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord.
And he said, neither
And it came to pass while the ark abode in Kirjath Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods
are here all thy
and
children,
Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only. And he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. And the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and serve the Lord only. And Samuel said, gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. And they gathered together to Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said there, we have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. And Samuel took a sucking lamb, and offered it for a burnt offering, holy unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel. And the Lord heard him. And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah, and pursued the Philistines, and smote them, until they came under Bethlehem. Then Samuel took a stone, and set it between Mizpah and Shin, and called the name of it Aben-Ezer, saying, hitherto hath the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more unto the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even to Gath, and the host thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines, and there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life, and he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and judged Israel in all their places. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house, and there he judged Israel, and there he built an altar unto the Lord. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abias. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted justice. And all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make appointed us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the king displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us, and Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest Solomon unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself unto chariots and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint captains. He will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50, and will set them to hear his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries and to be cooks and to be bakers, and to be fish with fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battle. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city. And there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zerah, the son of Bakor, the son of Athaniah, a mighty man of power. And he had a son whose name was Saul, whose choice young man and a goodly, and there was not among the children of Israel goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people, and the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul his son, take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses. And he passed through Mount Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found them not. And he passed through the land of Shalem, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, come and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses, and take thought for us. And he said unto him, behold now, there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man, all that he said cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither peradventure, and show us our way that we should go. Then said Saul to his servant, but behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver, that will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus he spake, come and let us go to the sea, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. Then said Saul to his servant, well said, come let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was, and as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, is the seer here? And they answered them and said, he is. Behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city, and there is a sacrifice of sin today in the high place. As soon as ye be come into the city, ye shall straightway find him before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice. And afterwards they eat, that be bidden.
That there is a God
now
in
therefore
Israel,
get ye up,
and all this assembly shall
about this
know
time
that the
ye shall
Lord
find
saveth not with sword
they
and
went
spear.
up into the city,
For the
and when they were
battle
come
is the
into the
Lord's,
city,
and
behold,
he will
Samuel
give you
come
into our
out
hands.
against them.
And it came to pass,
Samuel
when the
came out
Philistine
against them
arose
for
and
to
came
go
and
up
drew nigh
to
to
the
meet
high
David,
place.
and David hasted
Now the
and
Lord
ran
had told
toward the
Samuel
army to
in
meet
his
the Philistine.
ear a day
And
before
David put his hand
Saul
in his
came,
bag,
saying,
and took thence a stone,
tomorrow
and
about
slang
this
it,
time
and
I
smote
will
the
send
Philistine
thee a
in
man
his
out of
forehead, that the
the
stone
land of
sunk
Benjamin,
into
and
his
thou
forehead,
shalt anoint
and he
him to
fell
be
upon his face to the
captain
earth.
over my
So
people
David
Israel,
prevailed over
that
the Philistine
he
with a
may
sling
save my
and with a
people
stone,
out of the hand
and
of the
smote the
Philistines.
Philistine,
For I
and
have
slew
looked
him.
upon my
But there
people,
was no sword
because
in the
their
hand
cry
of
is
David.
come unto me.
Therefore David ran
And when
and
Samuel
stood upon
saw
the Philistine,
Saul,
and took his sword,
the
and
Lord
drew
said
it
unto
out
him,
of the sheath thereof,
behold, the
and
man
slew
whom I
him,
spake
and cut off his
to
head
thee
therewith. And when the
this same
Philistines
shall
saw their
reign over my
champion was
people.
dead, they fled.
Then Saul drew
And the
near
men
to
of
Samuel
Israel
in
and
the
of
gate,
Judah
and
arose
said,
and
tell
shouted,
me, I pray
and
thee, where
pursued the
the seer's
Philistines
house
until
is.
thou come to
And
the
Samuel
valley,
answered
and to the
Saul,
gates of Eglon.
and said,
And the
I am
wounded
the
of the
seer.
Philistines
Go
fell
up
down
before me
by
unto
the
the high
way
place,
to Shearaim,
for ye shall
even
eat
unto
with me
Gath,
today,
and unto
and
Ekron.
tomorrow
And the children of
I
Israel
will let thee
returned
go,
from chasing
and
after
will
the
tell thee
Philistines,
all
and
that
they
is in thine
spoiled their
heart.
tents. And
And
David
as
took
for
the head of
thine
the
asses
Philistine, and brought
that
it
were
to
lost 3
Jerusalem.
days ago,
But he
set
put
not
his
thy
armor
hand
in
on
his
them, for
tent.
they
And
are
when Saul
found.
saw David go
And on
forth against
whom
the
is all the
Philistine, he said
desire
unto
of Israel?
Abner, the captain
Is
of the
it
host,
not
Abner, whose son is
on
this
thee
youth?
and on
And
all thy
Abner
father's
said,
house?
As thy soul
And
liveth,
Saul
O king, I
answered and
cannot
said,
tell. And the
am
king
not
said,
I a
Inquire thou
Benjamite
whose
of
son
the
the
smallest
stripling
of the
is.
tribes of
And as
Israel?
David returned
And
from
my
the slaughter of
family
the
the least
Philistine,
of all
Abner took him,
the
and
family
brought
of the
him
tribe
before
of
Saul
Benjamin?
with the head
Wherefore
of the
then speakest
Philistine
thou
in his
so to me?
hand. And
And
Saul
Samuel
said to
took
him,
Saul and his
Whose
servant,
son art thou,
and
thou
brought
young
them
man?
into the parlor,
And David
and
answered,
made
I am
them
the son of thy
sit in the
servant
chiefest
Jesse
place
the
among them that were
Bethlehemite.
bidden,
And it came to
which were
pass,
about
when he
30
had made an
persons.
end of speaking unto Saul,
And
that the
Samuel
soul of
said unto the
Jonathan was
cook,
knit with the
bring
soul
the
of
portion
David,
which I
and
gave
Jonathan
thee, of
loved
which
him as
I
his
said
own
unto thee,
soul. And
set
Saul
it
took
by
him
thee.
that day,
And he
and would
took,
let him go no more
and the
home
cook
to his
took
father's
up the
house.
shoulder
Then
and that
Jonathan
which
and
was
David
upon it,
made a
and
covenant,
set it before
because he
Saul.
loved him
And
as
Samuel
his own
said,
soul.
behold that
And
which is
Jonathan
left,
stripped
set
himself
it
of the
before
robe that
thee,
was
and eat.
upon him, and
For
gave
unto
it to
this
David,
time hath
and
it
his
been
garments,
kept
even
for
to
thee
his
since
sword,
I said,
and to his bow,
I have
and
invited
to
the
his
people,
girdle.
So Saul
And
did
David
eat with
went out
Samuel that day.
whithersoever Saul
And when
sent
they were
him,
come
and
down from the
behaved
high place
himself
into the city,
wisely.
Samuel
And
communed
Saul set him over
with
the men
Saul
of war,
upon
and he was
the top
accepted
of
in
the
the sight
house.
of all the
And they
people,
arose
and
early, and
also
it came
in
to
the
pass
sight
about
of
the spring
Saul's
of the day that
servants.
Samuel
And it came to
called
pass as
Saul
they
to the top
came,
of the
when
house,
David
saying,
was returned from the
Up,
slaughter of the
that I may
Philistines, that
send
the
thee
women
away.
came out
And
of
Saul
all
arose,
cities of
and they
Israel,
went out,
singing
both of
and
them,
dancing, to
he
meet
and
King
Samuel
Saul
abroad.
with tabrets,
And as they
with
were going
joy, and
down
with
to the end of
instruments
the
of
city,
music. And
Samuel
the
said to
women
Saul, Bid
answered
the
one
servant
another as
pass
they
on
played,
before
and
us.
said, Saul hath
And he
slain
passed
his
on. But
thousands,
stand
and
thou
David
still
his
awhile,
10,000s.
that I may show
And
thee the
Saul
word
was
of
very
God.
wroth, and the saying
Then
displeased
Samuel
him.
took
And he
a
said,
vial of
They have
oil and poured it
ascribed unto
upon his
David
head and kissed him,
10,000s,
and
and to me
said,
they have
Is it not
ascribed but thousands.
because the Lord
And what
hath
can he
anointed
have
thee
more but
to
the
be
kingdom?
captain over
And
his
Saul
inheritance?
eyed David from that day and forward.
When thou art
And it came
departed
to
from me
pass on the
today,
morrow
then
that
thou
the evil
shalt find
spirit
2
from
men by
God came
Rachel,
upon
sepulchre,
Saul, and he
in the
prophesied
border of
in the
Benjamin
midst of
at
the house,
Zelzah.
and David
And
played with his
they will
hand
say unto
as at
thee,
other
The
times,
asses which
and there
thou
was a
wentest to
javelin
seek
in
are
Saul's
found.
hand.
And
And
lo,
Saul
thy
cast the
father had
javelin,
left the
for he
care
said, I
of
will
the
smite
asses, and
David even to the
sorrow
wall with it. And
and
David avoided
sorroweth
out of his
for
presence
you,
twice.
saying, What
And
shall I
Saul was
do for my
afraid of
son?
David, because the Lord was with
Then
him, and he
shalt
was
thou go on
departed from
forward from
Saul.
thence, and thou
Therefore
shalt
Saul
come to the
removed him
plain
from
of
him, and made him his
Tabor,
captain over
and there
1,000.
shall meet
And he went out and came in before
thee
the
3
people.
men going
And
up
David behaved
to God
himself
to Bethel,
wisely in all his
one
ways,
carrying 3
and the
kids,
Lord
and
was
another
with him.
carrying 3 loaves
Wherefore
of
when
bread,
Saul saw that
and
he behaved
another
himself
carrying
very
a bottle of
wisely,
wine.
he was afraid of
And
him.
they will
But
salute
all
thee,
Israel
and
and
give
Judah
thee 2
loved
loaves
David,
of bread, which
because he
thou
went
shalt
out
receive
and
of
came
their
in
hands.
before them.
After that thou
And Saul
shalt
said
come
to
to the
David,
hill of God,
Behold, my
where is
elder daughter
the
Merab.
garrison
Her
of
will
the
I give thee to
Philistines,
wife,
and it
only
shall
be
come to
thou
pass,
valiant for me,
when thou
and
art
fight
come
the
thither to
Lord's
the city, that
battles.
thou
For
shalt
Saul
meet a
said,
company of
Let not
prophets
mine
coming
hand
down
be upon him,
from the
but
high
let the
place
hand
with
of the
a
Philistines be upon him.
psaltery,
And
and
David
a
said unto
tabret,
Saul, Who
and a
am
pipe,
I?
and
And
a
what
harp
is my life or my
before
father's
them,
family
and they
in
shall
Israel,
prophesy.
that I should be
And the
son-in-law
Spirit
to
of
the
the Lord
king?
will come
But it
upon
came to
thee,
pass
and
at the
thou
time
shalt
when
prophesy
Merab,
with
Saul's
them,
daughter, should have been
and shall
given to
be
David,
turned into another
that
man.
he was given unto Adriel
And let
the
it be, when
Maholathite
these
to
signs are
wife.
come
And
unto thee,
Michal,
that
Saul's
thou
daughter,
do
loved
as
David, and
occasion
they told
serve
Saul,
thee, for
and the
God
thing
is with
pleased
thee.
him. And Saul said,
And thou
I
shalt
will
go
give him
down
her,
before
that she may
me
be a
to
snare to him,
Gilgal, and
and that the
behold,
hand of the
I will come
Philistines
down
may
unto
be
thee
against
to
him.
offer burnt offering,
Wherefore Saul said
and to
to David,
sacrifice
Thou shalt
sacrifices
this
of
day
peace
be my
offerings.
son-in-law
7
in
days
the
shalt
one
thou
of the
tarry,
twain.
till I come
And
to
Saul
thee,
commanded his
and
servants,
show thee
saying,
what thou
Commune
shalt
with
do.
David secretly, and
And it was
say,
so that
Behold,
when
the
he
king
had
hath
turned
delight
his
in
back to
thee,
go
and
from
all his
Samuel,
servants love thee.
God gave
Now
him another
therefore
heart,
be
and
the
all
king's
those
son-in-law.
signs came to
And
pass that
Saul's
day.
servants spake
And
those
when they
words
came
in the
thither to
ears
the
of
hill,
David.
behold, a
And
company of
David
prophets
said,
met him.
Seemeth it to
And
you
the
a
Spirit of
light
God came
thing to
upon
be a
him, and he
king's
prophesied among
son-in-law,
them.
seeing
And
that
it came
I
to
am
pass,
a
when
poor
all
man,
that knew
and
him
lightly
beforetime saw
esteemed?
that,
And the
behold, the
servants of
prophet,
Saul told him, saying,
he
On this
prophesied
manner spake David.
among the
And
prophets.
Saul said,
Then the
Thus shall
people
ye say
said
to
one
David,
to
The
another,
king
What
desireth
is
not
this
any
that is come
dowry,
unto
but
the
an
son of
100
Kish?
foreskins of the
Is Saul
Philistines, to be
also among the
avenged of the
prophets?
king's enemies.
And one of the
But Saul
same
fought to
and one
make
of the
David
same
fall
place
by the
answered and
hand of
said,
the Philistines.
But who
And
is
when
their
his
father?
servants told David these
Therefore
words,
it
it
became
pleased
a
David
proverb,
well to be
Is
the
Saul
king's
also
son-in-law,
among the
and the
prophets?
days were not
And
expired.
when he had
Wherefore
made
David
an
arose
end
and went,
of
he and his men,
prophesying, he
and slew
came
of the Philistines
to the
200
high
men.
place.
And David
And
brought
Saul's
their
uncle said unto
foreskins,
him
and they gave them
and
in
to his
full
servant,
tale to
Whither
the
went
king,
ye?
that he might
And
be
he
the
said, To
king's
seek
son-in-law.
the
And
asses.
David
And
gave
when
him
we
Michal
saw
his
that
daughter
they
to
were
wife.
nowhere, we came
And
to
Saul saw
Samuel.
and knew
And
that the
Saul's
Lord
uncle
was with
said,
David,
Tell
and
me, I
that
pray
Michal,
thee,
Saul's
what
daughter,
Samuel
loved him.
said unto unto you.
And Saul was yet
And
the
Saul
more
said
afraid
unto
of
his
David,
uncle,
and Saul became David's enemy
he
continually.
told us plainly that the asses
Then
were
the
found,
princes of
but
the
of
Philistines
the
went forth, and it
matter
came to
of the
pass,
kingdom,
after they went forth, that David behaved himself more wisely than all the
whereof
servants of
Samuel
Saul,
spake,
so that his
he
name
told him
was
not.
much set by. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to his servants,
And
that they
Samuel
should
called the
kill
people
David.
together
But
unto
Jonathan,
the Lord to
Saul's
Mizpah,
son, delighted
and
much
said
in
unto the
David,
children
and
of Israel,
Jonathan
Thus saith the
told
Lord
David,
God of
saying,
Israel, I
Saul
brought
my
up
father seeketh to kill
Israel
thee.
out of
Now
Egypt,
therefore I pray
and
thee, take
delivered
heed
you
to
out of the
thyself
hand
until
of
the
the
morning,
Egyptians,
and
and out of the
abide
hand
in a
of
secret
all
place, and hide
kingdom.
thyself.
and of them that oppress you. And ye have this day rejected your God, who himself saved you out of all your adversities and your tribulations, and ye have said unto him, Nay, but ye set a king over us. Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands. And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their family, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul the son of Kish was taken. And when they sought him, he could not be found. Therefore they inquired of the Lord further, if the man should yet come thither. And the Lord answered, Behold, he hath hid himself among the stuff. And they ran and fetched him thence. And when he stood among the people, he was higher than any of the people from his shoulders and upward. And Samuel said to all the people, See ye him whom the Lord hath chosen, that there is none like him among all the people. And all the people shouted and said, God save the king. Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom, and wrote it in a book, and laid it up before the Lord. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. And Saul also went home to Gibeah, and there went with him a band of men whose hearts God had touched. But the children of Belial said, How shall this man save us? And they despised him and brought him no presents. But he held his peace.
For his bolster and covered it with a cloth. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, He is sick. And Saul sent the messengers again to see David, saying, Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may slay him. And when the messengers were come in, behold, there was an image in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. And Saul said unto Michal, Why hast thou deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy that he is escaped? And Michal answered Saul, He said unto me, Let me go, why should I kill thee? So David fled and escaped, and came to Samuel to Ramah, and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth. And it was told Saul, saying, Behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as appointed over them, the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. And when it was told Saul, he sent other messengers, and they prophesied likewise. And Saul sent messengers again the third time, and they prophesied also. Then went he also to Ramah, and came to a great well that is in Seku. And he asked and said, Where are Samuel and David? And one said, Behold, they be at Naioth in Ramah. And he went thither to Naioth in Ramah, and the Spirit of God was upon him also. And he went on and prophesied until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And he stripped off his clothes also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Wherefore they say, Is Saul also among the prophets? And David fled from Naioth and Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, What have I done? What is mine iniquity, and what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but that he will show it me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. And David sware moreover, and said, Thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes. And he saith, Let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. Then said Jonathan unto David, Whatsoever thy soul desireth, I will even do it for thee. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field, unto the third day at even. If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me, that he might run to Bethlehem his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family. If he say thus, It is well, thy servant shall have peace. But if he be very wroth, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Therefore thou shalt deal kindly with thy servant, for thou hast brought thy servant into a covenant of the Lord with thee. Notwithstanding, if there be in me iniquity, slay me thyself, for why shouldst thou bring me to thy father? And Jonathan said, Far be it from thee. For if I knew certainly that evil were determined by my father to come upon thee, then would I not tell it thee? Then said David to Jonathan, Who shall tell me? Or what if thy father answer thee roughly? And Jonathan said unto David, Come and let us go out into the field. And they went out both of them into the field. And Jonathan said unto David, O Lord God of Israel, when I have sounded my father about tomorrow any time, or the third day, and behold, if there be good toward David, and I then send not unto thee, and show it thee, the Lord do so and much more to Jonathan. But if it please my father to do thee evil, then I will show it thee, and send thee away, that thou mayest go in peace. And the Lord be with thee, as he hath been with my father. And thou shalt not only, while yet I live, show me the kindness of the Lord, that I die not, but also thou shalt not cut off thy kindness from my house forever, no, not when the Lord hath cut off the enemies of David, every one of them from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, Let the Lord even require it at the hand of David's enemies. And Jonathan caused David to swear again, because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself when the business was in hand, and shalt remain by the stone Ezel. And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. And behold, I will send a lad, saying, Go, find out the arrows. If I expressly say unto the lad, Behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them. Then come thou, for there is peace to thee, and no hurt, as the Lord liveth. But if I say thus unto the young man, Behold, the arrows are beyond thee, go thy way, for the Lord hath sent thee away. And as touching the matter which thou and I have spoken of, behold, the Lord be between thee and me forever. So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat. And the king sat upon his seat, as at other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought, Something hath befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the 2nd day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat, neither yesterday nor today? And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for our family hath a sacrifice in the city, and my brother, he hath commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thine eyes, let me go away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not unto the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said unto him, Thou son of the perverse rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thine own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die. And Jonathan answered Saul his father, and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? What hath he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat the 2nd day of the month. For he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. And it came to pass in the morning, that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him. And he said unto his lad, Run, find out now the arrows which I shoot. And as the lad ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the lad was come to the place of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan cried after the lad, and said, Is not the arrow beyond thee? And Jonathan cried after the lad, Make speed, haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows, and came to his master. But the lad knew not anything, only Jonathan and David knew the matter. And Jonathan gave his artillery unto his lad, and said unto him, Go carry them to the city. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of a place toward the south, and fell on his face to the ground, and bowed himself 3 times. And they kissed one another, and wept with one another, until David exceeded. And Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, forasmuch as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city.